So this is Matt Barry, the CEO of Freelancer.com. Matt Barry is Entrepreneur of the Year 2012.
2011. It's old news now.
Well, maybe next year again. I'm honored to have Matt with us today. I was also honored in 2003 to be taught by Matt for network security at the University of Sydney.
Yep.
So today we're just going to discuss about outsourcing. We're going to discuss about entrepreneurship, global project management, and we'll just look at some of these topics. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the first question that I'd like to ask you is, what are some of the key elements that are required in managing and leading global teams, virtual teams?
Well, I mean, you've got to have good people, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
the key thing is that you have hire the best you can afford. I like to hire people as sort of PhDs, poor, hungry, driven.
Right.
Giving people an opportunity, where they've got initiative and they've got the drive and the passion to actually achieve something.
Sure.
Because when you've got a team around the world, you can't be there micromanaging. You don't know what's going on during the day. You get your reports every day or every week or every month or whatever it may be. And so you need to absolutely the fish rots from the head, right? So you've got to have absolutely top down. The hiring has got to be impeccable. If there's one thing if you do it in building a company, you've got to be absolutely rigorous and to ensure that the hiring is never compromised.
Right. Exactly. And in terms of getting the right people on the bus, is there a criteria that you look for? How do you actually find those poor, hungry, driven?
Well, I mean, it depends by industry. Yeah, I mean, it depends what the industry is you're in. I mean, with us, because we are an internet company, pretty much everyone has a technical degree of some sort. So, I've got really three pillars in the organisation. I've got engineering, which gets things done. I've got customer experience, which I actually run out of Manila. I've got about 200 people over there, which is really just the face of the company. And then I have a growth team, and growth team's like the new marketing. And though I have no marketing people, no sales people, no advertising people. So the growth team basically is staffed up by engineers and scientists. So it's run by the valedictorian from Melbourne University in robotics. I've got a PhD in quantum physics in that group. I've got someone from quantum optics. I've got statisticians, mathematicians, electrical engineers, and computer scientists. And that's really the new marketing, because the new marketing is really algorithmic nowadays. So, I mean, where do I find them? I mean, it's tough. I've been in the paper recently talking about how tough it is in Australia, for example. I mean, we only produce about 12,000 computer science graduates a year, and 8,000 of them are actually overseas students, so not all of them stay. So we've got a real problem in Australia, and actually, in terms of the skill base. But for us, we have to be. I mean, I just hired actually a director of talent as of Monday, so I've got someone now full time dedicated to solving the problem. I mean, you've got to look where the talent comes from. I mean, obviously graduates, so we've got university outreach programs that we do, we've got intern programs that we do, and then just the more you kind of build the profile of the company up. Luckily, if you hire good people, they'll start coming to you. But we're at the point now where actually we're right now in a second office here in Sydney that it's empty, but it's about to be full. We've got real decisions now in terms of how do we get the next. If we need to hire 10 a month or 20 a month or 50 a month,
Sure.
It's going to be a real challenge potentially to keep doing it in Australia, even though I'd really love to do it here. So we're not sure at this stage.
Sure.
But good people attract other good people as well. So that's key.
Yeah. And what are the things that you because you had a company called Sensory Networks initially, and what are the things you learned from going from that transition from Sensory Networks to Freelancer.com?
Oh, I mean, I could write an encyclopedia on this, right? A thesis at least. I mean, the Sensory's still going, to its credit. But I mean, I think all the great learning experiences come when the proverbial hits the fan, right? I mean, anyone can hold the rudder when the sea is calm.
Sure.
But when the stuff hits the fan, that's when you learn.
Exactly.
And so, we went through 6 years where there was a number of problems with that company. I mean, we had fantastic technology and a fantastic team, right? I mean, the team was impeccable. I think it's one of the best groups of engineers I think the world's ever, Australia's ever seen. Right? I mean, you've got we had about 70 engineers, 30 had PhDs, we had about 8 university medalists. I mean, it was a great bunch. Yeah. But I mean, the problem was there was market failure. We were too early to market. because we're building high performance pattern matching chips for gigabit networks when even today there's not really many gigabit networks around. Realistically, they need that sort of technology. It's better to be late to market rather than early to market. When you're early to market, you burn a huge amount of time and cash boiling the ocean to educate the market and so on. And simply in our case, if gigabit networking just isn't prevalent, there's nothing we really can do globally to kind of push it out, right? So there was market failure. We had the sales cycle was extremely long. We're selling a chip. I mean, the business model was wrong. It was really business model failure. We were selling OEM, which is we license our technology into other people's products. We either manufacture ourselves and build it in, or they'll manufacture it. The problem with that model, and the reason why we took that model was we were all engineers. We had no experience in sales. The other alternative was we build our own boxes, put the chip inside it, and we sell it to enterprise directly. It was suggested by venture capitalists at the time that we should just do the OEM licensing because it's an easier sale. So instead of selling a box for $10,000 or $20,000 at a time, we were hoping to do $1 million deals in a licensing arrangement with a small number of customers. The problem is with that sort of arrangement is because the products have an annual product cycle, so the sales cycle might be 2 years, because you might miss this year's product cycle and be in next year's. It could be 2 years to do a sales engagement, then you get signed a contract, which may take a month or two or a couple of months to sign. Then you start building the product, designing it in, which might take 18 months. Then you've got to fire distribution, marketing the channel, potentially manufacturing, and so on. And in our case, we would supply a global behemoth like McAfee, and we think, oh wow, this is going to be a multi-million-dollar contract. Well, years later, finally the product is nearing completion, and you have all these decisions you've got to make. So number one is McAfee wanted to make the product themselves, so we had to make manufacturing test equipment now to test the output of the plant. So now we're in the manufacturing test equipment business, not just our own product. Then their product wasn't ready, so I had to make a decision: do I send my engineers to go help them on the product or not? The problems that were with the product had nothing to do with our technology, which is something else. I had a decision: do I wait for the product to ship, in which case I don't make any money, and maybe have to wait for another 6 months, or do I send my engineers across, tying up their time to help get the product out faster? So suddenly I'm in the consulting business, right? And so on. And then maybe after it goes out to market, 3 years later, 4 years later, you have volume, because being a hardware product, you're not going to have an in-field upgrade. It's going to be, okay, I'll put you in not all our units, but we'll put it in the top-end units, and then over next year we'll put it in the next model down, and so on. So it's just in a hardware company, $100,000 per seat per year per software license. Inventory, if the inventory's on the shelf, it's not selling, and if you buy too much of it, you've got this money in this depreciating asset. If you have too little, you can't sell anything, you don't make anything at all. So it's a very, very, very difficult business. And what we should have done in hindsight is we should have just put the chip in a box and sold it directly and hired a big sales team, but
Yeah, but when you get to that...
That's 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you get to that point, how do you make those decisions, those hard decisions, which are very difficult to know?
Well, I mean, they're very hard to make.
Yeah.
A lot of them were trial and error.
Yeah. So
try this doesn't work, try this doesn't work. I mean, particularly my business today, we're allowed to do trial and error. It's called really A/B testing, right? Or multivariate testing, right? So all day, every day, we make little changes and test all the time. In businesses like my last business, you can't do that, right? It's a hardware product. You can't really... If you A/B test, it'll take you 2 years to see the end of the experiment. So you had to just kind of work on assumptions, get the data and do your best. But a lot of it really was, blind leaps of faith and hunch work. Yeah.
Sure. And how do you see freelancer in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, we want to be the eBay of jobs, and we're growing extremely rapidly. We're up to about 7.2 million users now. 4.3 million projects have gone through the site. It's the top 300 or so website, depending on the day of the week. And but you can still add a zero to everything, right? So you could be 70 million users, 700 million users, and you're getting going. eBay in Australia alone is about 8 million users, so it's still early days for the space we're in. And of course, 5 billion of our customers have yet to use the internet, right? So when you've got 7 million users on the site, 7 billion people on the planet, that's 1 in 1,000 users have used our website, but also 5 billion have yet to use the internet. So there's a long way ahead. We've got a lot of plans in the product plan and pipeline, and we're ramping up, as you can see, pretty quickly.
It's a nice space.
Yeah.
And so going back to kind of leadership, what are some of the key elements of leading a global team, a virtual team, where you basically don't see a lot of them most of the time? So how would you?
Well, that's why you got to hire people who are you can trust, right? And who are extremely bright, a lot of initiative, passionate. You yourself have got to be credible, right? So I think one of the good things is having the sort of engineering degree as a background, or technical background means that you can sit with the engineers, you can help them with their code. You get a lot of credibility from that. I mean, if you were just an MBA, accounting type walking in and didn't have a clue, I think that that'd be very, very challenging. And then you've got to kind of project a vision and a path to get there, and just get everyone sort of united behind that, and just really go out and do it. And it's really hire slowly, fire quickly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to spend a lot of time to get the right people, and if you made a mistake, you've got to pull the band-aid off.
Yep.
It's tough. I tell my guys, if you want to hire people, you've got to be responsible for hiring them as well. So we have high expectations, and it's a great team.
Sure, great. And what are the biggest challenges you've faced in growing a large company?
I mean, there are a lot. I write a book on this as well. But, definitely people. That'll always be your number one challenge, right? You'll see some great person, and the challenge to get them on board and come along with you. You always have people in the early days who are just like, who want to quit. And you go, why are you quitting? This is going to be the next big thing. It's like the 8th employee at Facebook quits or something or other, in year 1 and so forth. So that's always challenging. It's just, figuring out where to prioritize and focus your time. It's really easy to get distracted.
Exactly.
It's really easy to, want to do everything all at once. And, focusing on that core thing that's going to make the money. You got to make sure that when you kind of think about what you're going to do. I mean, the philosophy I take is we spend all day thinking about prioritizing the projects in terms of revenue, what's going to bring the next incremental revenue in, how's it going to be compared to something else, what's the manpower involved that's required to do that, etc., and so on, and really just prioritizing that in the right order and making sure we're not.
Exactly.
We're doing enough things, but not doing too many things.
And do you have a methodology to prioritize? Is there like a way of you look at
It's all data driven. So you look at the data, you run the numbers, do it in a spreadsheet, run a few tests, and then we say, okay, this is the way we're going to do it. Let's do it.
It's never like an intuitive or.
There is a bit of that, but we try and, as much as possible, minimise that and really make it on the data.
Fantastic. And so, what are some of your messages to young engineers, young entrepreneurs out there that are venturing into, leading global teams and working on global projects?
Well, okay. So I would say that just generally, it's never been a better time to start a business. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it's never been easier. It's never been cheaper. Every industry is being remapped as we speak into basically a software business, right? So, I can't think of one industry that's not disruptively transforming at this point, right? We used to, listen to music using records. Now we do it with software. iTunes and Spotify. We used to, the biggest direct marketing company in the world is a software company. It's Google. The fastest growing telecoms company in the world is a software company. It's Skype. Biggest bookseller, biggest shoe seller in the world is a software company. It's Amazon. Every industry is becoming a software business, powered by software in some way, shape, or form. And there's so much opportunity still because a lot of businesses, industries are kind of getting there. They don't have a dominant player that's done that yet. I would definitely think about going global from day one. We have to do that anyway in Australia, and Australians have been used to this for decades because our market is too small domestically for many types of business. For some, you can build a big business, but for many, it's too small domestically. But think about going global from day one. Think about going global does not mean you have to open up offices overseas, right? We do 85% of our business in the US. We have no presence in the US, right? So that doesn't mean you need to go off and it's very expensive. Once you can start doing things like that, you go to the US and you start hiring. You start spending millions of dollars. So a big mistake I think a lot of Australian entrepreneurs do is I want to go from the US from day one. They get up, they fly over there, they land in Silicon Valley, probably without a visa to start off with, and they try and start a company. And that's really the bad thing to do because you've got no support network. It's you need to get your immigration status sorted. To do that, you need to have a company that's financed properly. It's just really tough. It's much better to kind of have the global focus, do it from Australia, but have the global focus from day one. But also think abroad also in terms of your hiring. All my engineers are pretty much here in Australia, but my support team's out of Manila. I've got 200 people in Manila, and absolutely hard working. Used to working 24/7. So people do late night shift to service the US, for example, and it's inexpensive and very high quality talent there, right? So it can give you a real competitive advantage when you can hire, 200 people at the price of 30 or 40 in Sydney, right?
Sure.
So which is great, and so on. But yeah, definitely think global and definitely. And the other thing is when you build your products, it's good to think about things like internationalization from day one. So rather than designing everything in English and in US dollars or Australian dollars, think about it as a multi-currency, multilingual.
That's right.
Thing from day one, because a lot of companies in the US, they'll get going, they're very US focused, and then there's a lot of opportunity where someone comes along and does a Groupon in Germany, or they do, eBay in Japan or whatever like that. And once you've got that inertia going, there's a big inertia slowing down some of these US companies because they've got this big code base now, or the products will set up for the a US English speaking market, and it takes them a long time to kind of to change that, because it's much harder to do later on. And so there tends to be a lot, you tend to get all these other companies popping up around the world that they have to end up buying. So Groupon had to go around the world buying up all the Groupon coins, which was a real, I think, disaster for them.
And in terms of communicating between your teams in Manila and Australia, is there do you have any challenges there?
You set up process, and you set up reporting structures, and then you set up reports. And the other thing is, the great thing is today that with collaborative tools like Google Docs, so I can email a spreadsheet to everyone in the company, tell them to fill something in, I can just see them all just editing it, and 5 minutes later it's done, right? Voice over IP, even streaming video now is really good. So the guys in the office will load up Skype and they'll interact, and we've got video walls sometimes set up between the offices, which is fine. Really the boundaries are really non-existent now in terms of actually doing business, and that's going to get more and more the case as the tools get more collaborative and go into the cloud and all that stuff.
Sure. Well, that's fantastic. I think that's good news for all the students watching this.
Absolutely.
It's a good time to start a venture in Australia globally, and So well, thank you so much. And do you have any other?
I do. If you want a job, come in here. We're hiring like crazy. So
thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for it.
Okay, great.